everybody. Nice to meet you. And my name is Emanuela Damiani, and I am a UX designer. I'm coming from Berlin, Germany. There is the place where I live. But as you maybe imagine, I'm not German. I am Italian. And I'm actually from Rome. And back in the days in Rome, so more or less 1 year ago, I used to work for this small digital agency called MCAD. That, since that somebody asked, it stands for Magic Code Elegant Design. And with MCAD, we used to work with institutions, organizations, startups. It was pretty funny, and I learned a lot about design process and how to make interaction between the agency and the client as smooth as possible. But as I say, I moved to Berlin at the beginning of 2015, and right now I'm working for Hitfox Group. Hitfox Group is a startup incubator where we actually build companies in these three sectors. So ad tech, which combine the power of advertising and the internet, big data, who knows what this means? I never understand that. And right now, especially fintech, bank, insurance, but better with the internet. There is a lot of challenge here, and it's different, from working for a client that working for just specific stakeholders inside a company. I'm inside the tech team as a designer, of course, and our main job as tech team is not only building the product, but also helps our venture partner to build their own teams. So it does involve a lot of design culture and tech culture. It's pretty interesting, okay, whatever, and pretty challenges as well. This is like a casual day in our office in Alexanderplatz. It's pretty nice. But let's talk about this talk. My goal here is to give to you the tools that you need to make your collaborative project hum right along the maximum efficiency. What is the talk about? The talk is about learning through play, because collaborative design can be fun. And when we have fun, we think better, we think more practically, and we are actually more creative. And I actually prefer to play a design game instead of, just sit in this endless meeting that never stop. And I learned that our stakeholders and even our user prefer a game too, instead of just listen to us. That's pretty boring. So after that, we're going to go deeper and see three specific design games. The name of the game are Design the Box, the KJ methods, and the 6-to-1. Any of you knows one of these games? No, that's cool. I will teach you something very, very nice that can bring your design process to the next level, maybe. And since that, maybe you think, okay, design game, I don't know. Yes, there is a lot of pitfall, and I will share to you some story and see how can we avoid at least the most common of them. Just jump in the first topic. Design games are a great way to get real involvement in and also commitment into a project. When a team works together on something, they create a shared space and a shared commitment. They're actually involved. And of course, this is better than just sit as a designer in your room, create your perfect mock-up, and then just ask for feedback. If you involve people at the beginning, you're going to have much better results because you have a common vision. Who is a designer? Who's working as a designer here? 2. Who is a developer? Nice. Front-end developer? Cool. More back-end, very real code? Project manager? Okay. So in this talk, I will actually refer to designer, but I believe that even a front-end developer, even a back-end developer should know that, because design is your business too. And the key in the phase in generating idea is the diverge thinking. This is like a pretty kind of buzzword, and if you never did a brainstorming, you probably heard this. And diverge thinking is broad and shallow, concerned more with quantity than quality. I believe that it's better ask smart. It's better have insightful question instead of smart answer. So diverge thinking help us to go deeper in the problem, but with a more focus on the quantity instead of the quality. And as I said before, for best results, involve the other. And because sometimes you won't actually spend as long designing as you would like. And you're probably going to have a lot of feedback. And as a designer, sometimes I really, I don't like it. I don't like that people come to me and destroy my beautiful design idea. That's pretty that sucks actually. But I learned how to take this as a blessing instead of a curse. And everyone sees from a different point of view. So if you use the other people since the beginning, you actually have an advantage, and you can work with your colleague to generate ideas. You can be sure that others will see something that you haven't, and whatever the ideas come from a short chart, a formal peer review, or, as we are going to see, in a long collaborative design workshop. Before planning a collaborative design workshop, think about what do you want to achieve from the session. Do you want ideas, debate, consensus? Make sure you're clear on these high-level goals so that your workshop can have focus. And let's see who is invited to this party. Of course, invite your stakeholders. Stakeholders sometimes are pretty difficult to bring in this kind of meeting because they say, I'm super busy, just show me something later. Talk with them, convince to join, and as early as possible, because their opinion are super important, and what they think about the project and how they see your product can change the results in the end. And invite developers. So if one of your designers come to you and ask to participate of a design workshop, please go. I know that sometimes the relationship between designers and developer is characterized by tension and distrust, but it doesn't need to be in this way. Actually, developers, so people like you guys, give a lot of insight, and instead of think about great idea but super difficult to apply or really time consuming, having you on the table help us to give a concrete point of view. And actually, that's super important. Invite your product owner or project manager or whatever you like to call it here. Project manager are usually the domain expert. So they know the industry, they know the history, they know the market most of the time. And having a PO in your design workshop can be really useful. And having also with them a healthy relationship, it's very important. In this way, you can agree on a shared vision since the beginning. And having a design vision shared with everybody is fundamental. And the product owner is the keeper, is the vision keeper. So invite him as well. And yes, invite also marketing people. I saw a lot of projects ended in not a very nice situation because marketing was involved just at the last. A brand is not just a logo and their imaginary, it's also the user experience that communicate. This push and pull between marketing and designer can be really, really useful. But we didn't want to end up in a situation like this kind of home page where it's too much marketing instead of too much user experience. So bring them in this meeting too. And in the end, you know the best. You know who must be in this meeting. If you can think to any decision maker that can actually change the results of your project, bring him in as well. But be careful, not exaggerate. I found very difficult to handle a group with more than 8 participants. And don't underestimate the logistic problem to bring all these people together. Sounds stupid, but find a nice time for all these people can be really complicated. But don't give up. It's important to have them there. And now we're going a little bit more practical, very quickly, to see what kind of equipment we need for run a design workshop. First of all, fat marker. Fat marker are really important because you're going to take picture of the results of your workshop. So fat tip marker. So more the marker is tip, is fat, and more it's going to be easy to recognize as to take picture. And give to everybody the same tool, bring also kind of democracy in the room. And it's also good. Invest some money in some high quality sticky notes. Try to avoid the one that you stick on the wall and fall after 10 minutes because it became really complicated, go there. The standard yellow ones works pretty well, but for some exercise you're going to need different colors. So just think about it. And try to have a big room. If you are inside the organization, take the bigger room as possible. If you're just a consultant and you don't have a big room in your studio, that's fine. Maybe invest some cash for rent an external location. In this way, you can even have the advantage to a network territory, so nobody is kind of the boss there. And you can actually transform this meeting in a nice memory as well. Paper, normal A4 sheet. Those work pretty well, but sometimes you can forget them. And as I said before, you're going to take a lot of pictures during this design workshop, especially in the end. A nice camera is fine, but I'm pretty sure your smartphone can do as well. Reiterate the goal of the workshop at the beginning of the meeting. Emphasize that you're not necessarily looking for answers, just ideas. The short, playful exercise you go through are a great way to spark creativity. By reinforcing simple notions like there are not wrong answers, quantity and not quality, you help reduce people inhibition, especially in the beginning. And be a good host. Having a workshop can be really hard, especially for the people, so remember to take some break, provide drinks, and don't be too much rigid, but be also aware that if you agree on some rule, like no phone during the design workshop, stick to them. Okay, let's see some design games. So go a little bit more deeper. Why I believe that design games are good? Because they're a really great way to communicate. Many of games involve sketching, writing, drawing, and this provides a clear representation of an idea instead of talking about it. A team playing a design game as part of their process, or a researcher and watching user playing a game, can reveal some insightful ideas, something that you actually didn't think about it. The first game is Design the Box. So, Design the Box is a game that encourages participants to consider the product from the user perspective. What user need and what from design. How can you communicate your site or your product to the user? It's an excellent icebreaker, so it's a good exercise to play as first. And let's see how to play it. Divide your people in small group of 2 people, and give to them a sheet where they can actually draw on the packaging of the product. Let's talk with them and ask to imagine that their product is a cereal box. So how this product is standing in front of the other on a market shelf. And this game helps them to think about the core proposition of the product and how to distill down into a clear and concise form. Ask why to them, and why would a customer choose this box over the next to it? What are the main messages that the packaging should cover? I don't know, the name, the tagline. Is the box going to have just images or just colors? Sounds like stupid. Probably people at the beginning were like, but we're not selling cereal. But that's actually the key of the game. And for an even more hands-on approach, you can provide to them some glue and some templates so they can actually build a real physical box. And I'm using this game in my organization, and sometimes we actually live in the kitchen with some Post-it, and we ask for two people to share their opinion too. So in this way, you can actually spark this, share this spark of creativity with the rest of the organization as well. The sandbox is an ideal way to open a discussion about what the site should do and how it stands out and what is offered to user. It forces people to think clearly about how the site, and in the same way how the organization, must differentiate itself from the competitors and what feature will appeal most to potential user. Participants must also consider the product's tone of voice, the key visual element like color and imaginary. The second game that we're going to cover is the KG method, and it's named after its Japanese creator Jiro Kawakita, and it helps groups to reach consensus on what the most important aspect of a product should be. A single session using the KG method will generate dozens of ideas about user need, features, grouping, and priority, which will directly guide your UX design. Through the democratic process involved with a wide cross-section of organization, you encourage creativity while avoiding the dominant personality of or politics that so often hamper traditional meetings. The exercise lasts around an hour, so you can run it as a single meeting or a slot alongside other exercise in a longer workshop. So, how to play the KJ method? In this case, we use two colors of removable sticky notes. Can be, I don't know, yellow and blue. We need a room with a lot of wall space because we're going to stick all the resource on the wall, and it could be good having a whiteboard or a flip chart for a final ranking step. The KJ method is a very good game if you want to determine a focus question. So before you start this game, just ask one key question. I give to you some example. One could be, who are our user? Sounds pedestrian, like, okay, we know who are our user, our marketing department know, they already told to us, but you're going to be surprised when you ask this question to your stakeholders or to developers to see how people can think different about it. And what feature do our users need? Or what goals do users have when they come to our site? What did we learn in the research phase? And so we asked to the participant, after we decide the main question, to work individually and think of as many answers as possible to the focus question, writing each one on a sticky notes. And especially in this case, make sure that everyone is using the same color because the democratic aspect of the game is actually really, really important here. And stop your participant after 10 minutes and ask to them to put the sticky notes on the wall in a random order. Second step is, now that you have your wall covered by sticky notes, ask to them to group the similar. And in this phase, it's very important that people remain silent. This is not time for discussion, and if people want to discuss, please talk to them that there's going to be plenty of time later. We found that premature discussion often focuses on borderline items, and since the workshop is going to take a lot of time, we don't want to waste it. After the people grouped the sticky notes that, according to them, representing the more similar problem, asked the participant to name in each group. As before, this phase should be done as alone, so not involve any conversation, because we believe that group thinking is really painful in this time of the game. And once everyone has written a name for each group, ask them to stick the label next to the group. And probably you're going to find out that some people have used the same name or actually have the same idea. If not, in this case, you can involve like 5 times for conversation and regrouping. So, right now we have a wall full of sticky notes, grouping with some labels on it. Now it's time for ranking the 3 most important ones. Again, sticky notes, 3 to each participant, and ask them to just draw a star on it. 1, 2, and 3 stars. Of course, as you probably already understand, they're going to put 1 star on the less important, 2 star on the medium relevance, and 3 star on the most important group. And after that, you're going to count in the start. And here is where the whiteboard or the flip chart comes very handy. And the groups that have the major ranking point is our priority. The KJ method is a fascinating mix of independence brainstorming, group dynamics, and democracy. It allows a team to be creative and critical in a productive manner, where a strong personality and politics play second fiddle to independence perspective and experience of the team. And probably after that you group and you ranking, people will be really want to discuss, because we didn't allow any discussion before. And in this case, yes, allow discussion, but just avoid that the boss will take the situation just because his group that he rented more, he didn't end up as first. It's very important that people understand that having a common vision is more important than having just one person vision. The third game is my favorite one. It's the 6-to-1. And if I have to choose to run just one game, I will encourage you to run this one. Because if the sandbox is focusing more about the value of the product, and if the KJ methods help us in reaching a common view on the project, the 6-to-1 is actually perfect for generating idea on the interface itself. How to play the 6-to-1? So, give each participant a 6-up template that is pretty similar to the one that you can see behind me, and ask everyone to produce 6 interface sketches with the fixed time frame. 10 to 15 minutes should do it. At this point, probably somebody will say like, oh wait, I can draw, I'm not a designer, and let's kill this misconception now. Because in the words of the graphic designer Jason Santamaria, sketchbooks are not about being a good artist, they're about being a good thinker. What does this mean? This means that we're not asking for a draw, we are asking for sketch. And you should use sketch to capture idea. It's not about demonstrate virtuosity. And as much as you run this kind of workshop with your organization, they're also going to be like, they're going to improve the sketch skills. So, yes, maybe you can draw, but you can sketch. And we're actually going broad and shallow. We are not going narrow and deep in this phase. So it's more important to have 6 okay-ish sketch instead of one perfect sketch with the color of the button. We don't care about it now. That's not what we are looking for. So once time runs out, I usually take a break. So once that our participants have done these 6 different sketches on their framework, I usually take a break and ask 2 people to put on the wall the 6 2-up templates. For some, like designer, they will just jump in the next step, but I found that it's very useful here having some times for discussion about the results. Thanks to the sketch, everybody now are able to see their idea and see also the difference about how a particular interface should look like. And that's different, that actually really can come really handy after this rapid discussion when they have to do the one. And why? Because now that they're actually think like really wide, because generate 6 different sketches is not easy, especially in 15 minutes. With the larger template, we encourage more detail, and the participant can actually go a little bit deeper here. So we spend other 15 minutes on the one template, and after that, guess what? We stick all the sketches on the wall and ask to each participant to explain their ideas. Comment on similarity and differences between people approaches, and ask the group to agree which approach have worth further truth and which don't warrant further exploration. The power of the 6 to 1s comes from forcing people to consider an alternative solution. The first couple of ideas come easily, and they're usually conservative, based on known convention. When the tank of obvious ideas runs dry and participants have to think about different ways to tackle the design, the divergent thinking truly begins. Ideas emerge that would never otherwise be considered, and it too sparks new area of inquiry. Well, we are running here. So, if you're now thinking that, yes, I know the games can be difficult, yes, it's true, as I said before. So let's talk for a minute about some common fear and see how can we avoid them. Like public speaking, as you probably noticed now, running a workshop involves a degree of performance. Participants will look to you to take the lead. So you want to be self-assured and help everyone feel at ease. Some of the exercise will take people away from the comfort zone, so plan to offer guidance and encouragement through the session. If it's possible, avoid taking part in the exercise yourself, so you can be hand to help your participant. And if after a while that you're running this kind of workshop, you notice that your product manager wants to help you, maybe you can start to switch with him, so you can be participant and host at the same time. Some stakeholders may not see the prospect of their team playing games as an appropriate use of the time and money. The common spirit of adventure actually can break down barriers between team members and promote strong bonds. So a quick trick is to simply change the word game with another word like exercise and try to promote this as a team event if it's possible. This usually kind of help. We don't have much designer here, but you have to know that design by committee is a very, very bad word. So is collaborative design just another term for design by committee? Yes and no. Because as long as you be able to retain control of the process, the answer is no. Collaborative design isn't just about working together. It's an opportunity to set the tone of the project. Lead collaborative design efforts, and you will have the perfect opportunity to set a good UX agenda. Explain at the outset that you want the group to focus on user need, not just their own. Okay? We're almost done. Just see what we maybe learn in this talk, and then we can have some question maybe, or just run to the next talk. So, put design in everyone's hands. Collaborate design, give to everybody the opportunity to express their ideas, and give to the UX designer a chance to introduce an UX way of thinking. And a shared ownership on a product is always better than just the boss opinion. If you want to learn more about your product, play the sandbox. There is a little work needed to analyze the outcome of this game, as the key idea is actually a little bit like hidden, because yes, they're bugs, they're not interfaces. But if you pay enough attention to these details, you can actually underline in a rationale for including all the value that come from the game. And when the KJ method works, you can reach group consensus much faster than any other method. Because you invited different kind of people to participate, the resulting priorities will typically stand the test of the time, and you won't come under constant challenge. So the KJ method is the kind of game that they play, especially at the beginning of the project. And as I just said, the real power of the 6-to-1 comes for forcing people to consider an alternative solution. It brings great results with complex design systems, such well as an home page or, the K product page. And if you find this exercise really useful, you can maybe think to play in different time. I don't know, if you're internal, at the beginning of each new feature. And if you're covering an unfamiliar territory, try out a countdown version with some closer lists first. I don't know, maybe just your team. Until you become confident running a collaborative design workshop, start with shorter session and smaller design challenge. More will you play, more you will have fun. And if you like a bit this talk, I suggest you to read Undercover User Experience Design, because a couple of chapters in this book is actually talk pretty well about how to introduce UX in a complex organization, as well as you do UX yourself, even if you're not a designer. And if you're more interested about the game part, Gamestorming should be in your child. It's a great book. There is a lot of different exercises divided by different topics, like icebreaker, and you can really find a lot of insights. And one person I suggest, go to more conference. For me, going to conference helped a lot. It thanks to conference like CodeMotion that I have the opportunity to shape during the years my career as a designer. And if you are a front-end developer or even more a designer, consider to come to From the Front in Bologna. It's a nice conference, and if you use this promo code, you can have a 20% off. It's not bad. So, thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. Any question? Wait for the microphone, please.
Hello. Hi. So, out of curiosity, did it ever happen that someone refused to play?
Yeah.
And so, what?
So, how?
Should I? Okay. Did you understand the question, right? Okay.
Yeah. It happened once that the big boss, like video games, just say, I don't want to play game. I don't play game. And in that case, we realized that especially with stakeholders, it's better to have like a common agenda before and explain to them how it's important. And here you can kind of play some mind games, try to explain to them how their participation in the workshop will show to their colleagues how they're like the better than the others, that put all together is a nicer way to achieve goals. And actually that time this kind of argument helps. And in the end, the guy was really enthusiastic that he asked to me, and it happened with my previous organization, so they asked to me and to the rest of my team to play the game again. And right now in my company, well, now they know that I'm kind of the game girl, so they're not surprised anymore, but it happened. I mean, especially if you're working in a fintech company or like with this kind of bankers, really serious people, they can't say like, I don't know. So the word exercise usually works pretty well, and you can always say, this is like the cutting edge way to do stuff, and they usually believe it. So, yeah. It's okay? Did I answer your question? Any other question? I knew it.
Do you feel like there are any particular ways that developers are less helpful in the process and could be more helpful as opposed to people in other roles, if there are specific kinds of stubbornness or roadblocks?
Sure. I work very close with my front-end developer right now in Hitfox and even before, and I think that developers are really important in the generated ideas phase. That's because we are doing software. I mean, even if you're a designer, you're actually doing software. So the developer, from my perspective, are the domain of the tool that we're actually using. And can you hear me? Yes. The way that the developer interact on the UX is very important. As a designer, I think that having a close communication with them, like, can I do this? How can we achieve this kind of experience in the website? It's always best to talk with them before, instead of just arrive with a solution that maybe you show before to the project manager, so everybody fall in love with that idea. And from my experience, if your developer talk with the designer also at the beginning of the project, they can actually give you some suggestions, like, hey, I know that's very difficult, for instance, having some label that disappearing, just make an example. You go to the designer and say, like, I don't want to do the label that disappearing. And in that case, probably the designer will ask why. I think it's important to have a common sense of why something is important and why something is not. The developer and the software is part of the experience. User experience is not just a fancy interface. It's how people move on the software, on the product, on the website. So yes, and even if I'm a UX designer, I believe that everybody should do UX in our organization. My role should be more like a facilitator or an helper, not just the one who decides which is the best. Did I answer your question? Not sure? Okay.
Okay, 2 to go. Any more questions?
Thank you.